Welcome to HCS Talks. I'm your host, Superintendent of Hampton City Schools, Raymond Haynes. This is our second season of HCS Talks, our Hampton City Schools podcast. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain not just our local community, but also listeners far and wide. In each episode, we dive into a variety of topics, from education and student success to the hard work of our teachers, support staff, parents, and community partners. We will also shine a spotlight on different community programs, initiatives, and more, offering valuable insights for everyone. To our loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We hope you will stick around and keep listening to HCS Talks. Today, I have the opportunity to sit down with Ms. Emma Freakley, one of our Hampton City Schools teachers who started teaching with us in 2023. So welcome, Ms. Freakley. Thank you for joining us today on HCS Talks. Before we dive into our discussion, please introduce yourself to the listening audience.
I am Ms. Freakley, and first I want to thank you for inviting me on this podcast. I am a second-year teacher in Hampton City Schools. This is my second year at Hunter B. Andrews, pre-K through 8, teaching 8th grade science. Before I started here in Hampton, I was in college at the University of Mary Washington in their 5-year program, where I did a bachelor's of chemistry and got my master's in secondary education. And while there, I did have the opportunity to do a paid internship where I got to take over halfway in the middle of the year because they had lost a chemistry teacher. So I became the head teacher that year. So it's almost like a 2.5 year.
Wow. How was that experience for you?
Very unique in the sense of they didn't have a teacher for a whole 9 weeks. So they came in, a lot of them were really excited, and a lot of them were like, oh, she's setting that we're not allowed to do what we were doing. I had gone in one day when they had a sub and they were just running around the room doing whatever they wanted. So for them to have a teacher come in and I was very excited since it was my first time and being like, we're not going to do that. We're going to get back to basics here.
So are you from this area? I
am. I'm born and raised in Hampton. Actually, because Hunter B. Andrews used to be, the location used to be a hospital.
Yes.
I was born in that hospital.
Wow. Fantastic. So you just came back home. So we're glad you chose or decided to come back here, because I would imagine they were trying to keep you there once you started.
They were begging. I said, the cost of living's too high. The pay was lower than it is here. And I was like, unless you're going to pay my rent, I'm probably going home.
Well, we're glad you came back home. So what inspired you to pursue a career in education?
From a young age, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I went to Armstrong School for the Arts next door. And about 3rd or 4th grade is kind of where I was like, maybe I want to be a teacher. Math was always my favorite subject growing up. So I thought I wanted to be a math teacher. And I had teachers, my family friends were all, parents were all teachers and everything. And then my dad ended up becoming a teacher when I was in middle school. He teaches in Hampton as well. And so he's actually a middle school math teacher at Phoenix. So it was kind of in the family. My grandmother was a principal counselor teacher in Alaska, where she raised my mom.
Wow.
So it's kind of in the family, and it's just something that is very inspiring, and working with kids every day is very nice as well.
Alaska. Do you still have family in Alaska?
No. So my grandma's originally from New Jersey, but when she married her husband, they ended up moving to Alaska for his career or whatever, and that's where they grew up.
So a family full of educators. And your father teaches at Phoenix, pre-K through 8.
Yes.
The other school that's designed just like this.
Yes.
How long has he been there at Phoenix?
This is his 2nd year. Before that, he did, I think, 9 years at Sims.
Okay. Wow. So the STEM area just was a primary interest in your household.
Yes.
And it's always good to see women in science, technology, engineering, and math, and making that impact and letting other young people see that you can also pursue a career in science as well. So I'm sure you are a great role model for your students. So why did you choose to work in Hampton City Schools?
First and foremost, I wanted to be back around family, knowing coming here that I would have the support of some grandparents, my parents, and my brother and sister around, as well as I had goals I'm a softball coach, so I wanted to come back and be able to coach with my dad. That's something we had started when I was kind of in high school. And specifically Hampton, I had been looking at districts around the area. Hampton was the one I was most interested in because I knew a lot about it from my dad and everything. But also he got to let me know and showed me and let me see what the 5-year induction program was. That was exciting. The technology there is, as well as it is a little bit about the money in terms of it has better pay than other areas as well. And just, again, being close to family and seeing how much support Hampton has.
I want to make certain that everybody listens to this podcast because you are a great public relations person for Hampton City Schools. That 5-year teacher induction program. Talk a little bit about your experience with that.
Well, I went through an education program, so a lot of it was first it was repetitive because I know there are a lot of new teachers who didn't do that. But knowing that I had all these different people within that program that I could speak to if I needed help in a certain area, and then helping us get adjusted not just teaching, but how Hampton does it, having that curriculum that is there given to us. And I knew about that ahead of time as well, because by Mary Washington, some of those districts had purchased the math curriculum and other curriculum. And so I knew.
They purchased our curriculum?
Mm-hmm. So I had a friend who was teaching math up there, and he's like, I have the curriculum from Hampton. And I was like, I know people that probably wrote some of that. So knowing that's there and having them show you just step by step how to do certain things and being there to help you reflect and think about, maybe that didn't work this way for this class, but maybe you can try this, and just giving you different suggestions as you go.
And we know that Dr. Kim Richardson does an excellent job in leading that 5-year teacher induction program. And I believe Ms. Heather Peterson is a part of that, too. So you're looking at the instructional and management side of the ledger as well as the climate and culture piece. And we believe wholeheartedly in that program, and it's one of the reasons why we believe people choose Hampton and choose to stay with us as well. And you are a great example of that. So, Ms. Freakley, how have you grown as an educator in the past 2 years? And what are some of the biggest lessons you learned in your first year that have helped you in your second year? Really, 2.5 years.
I mean, going in teaching, I knew what I wanted to happen in my expectations, but then working on getting those to happen, especially with classroom management. I've always felt comfortable building relationships with the kids, and I know my content, but really learning different techniques because you think one thing will work and then you find out it doesn't. And so just taking that reflection back in and going, it didn't work this time, maybe it'll work for a different group, or maybe I just need to adapt it a little, or maybe I need to start all over with a whole new style of management or a new process or anything like that. Wow. So what role did mentorship or even support from colleagues or individuals at the division level play in your success these past 2 years? I would say it was one of the main factors. I had my dad who is not at the school, so I could go home last year and talk to him if I needed to just debrief on someone who didn't know people in the school.
Right.
Then I had my mentor, who is the 8th grade lead team here, and I still go to her every day anytime I need anything. Our classrooms are right next to each other, so even though we don't teach the same content, we were able to talk every day and just, this isn't working here, maybe try this. Or if I was worried about talking to a parent, she'd offer to get on the phone call with me, as well as just the admin, always being there offering support, whether it was, you want me to come in your classroom for the day, or do you need help writing a lesson plan, or last year they started having me talk to different 8th grade teachers since I'm the only 8th grade science teacher here. So they had me talk to teachers at Jones. And this year I actually go to Tarrant once a week to meet with them and plan with them. So knowing I have all these different connections that they're able to help me find as well.
The beauty of mentorship, one of the things I've found to be beneficial for me is the mentor actually learns from the mentee as well, especially coming in new with a fresh set of ideas and ways about doing things and even your instructional techniques. It sounds like you are a part of a very healthy climate and culture here at Andrews, where their motto is one band, one sound, and I believe you seamlessly fit right in.
Yes.
So, what professional development opportunities have been most beneficial to you thus far?
I would definitely say those convention days, which are part of the 5-year. I think a lot of times, sometimes I'm hesitant to leave because it is during a school day and I don't want to leave my kids a lot of the times, but going and really trying to be open-minded and just take away maybe one small thing from each little session we do. I've taken a lot from the IDL department that has been really helpful of like, oh, I could try this type of exit ticket or try this to get the kids more engaged and stuff like that. As well as I've been working on just doing like a book study and looking at the different websites Hampton has available for us to look at classroom management and instructional techniques as well.
It sounds like you are benefiting immensely from all Hampton City Schools has to offer with the teacher induction program. And you mentioned the convention days where you're having that additional PD. At some point in time, if you aren't already, it would serve us well for you to serve as a mentor to some of the novice teachers too. So have you got connected with some of that yet? Or
I haven't. At the beginning of the year, a teacher here was like, "You're not a mentor teacher." I was like, "Well, it's only my second year. Let's just wait a minute." But someone had said kind of like, "I'm surprised you're not a mentor teacher."
Well, you seem like a natural for it, so I'm sure Ms. Mason and the admin team will be looking to take advantage of that opportunity when it presents itself. So, Ms. Freakley, let's talk about your students. How do you build relationships with them?
I think it really just starts at that basic level of trying to get to know them. That first day, I try to learn as many names as I can. So going in, getting to know them, asking them questions, letting them ask questions about myself so that they see I'm willing to open up before they are. So building that trust in that kind of way. Finding out what sports or what kind of theater or arts they like and going to those events or like sitting down, drawing with them, coloring with them one day. I've gone to several of the sporting events. I went to soccer this year. I've gone to volleyball. Just talking about what they like.
So making that connection in and outside of the classroom and for them to see you at their events or activities, I know it means a lot to them, and it further helps for you to develop and maintain those healthy relationships. And from there, they got to make certain they perform at the highest level for you, but just because of that connection they have with you as well.
Yeah, I am able to take that connection and be like, I know this is not how you're going to act out at volleyball, softball, or using it to be like, do I need to talk to your coach? Because I don't think your coach is going to like that you're slacking off, and not even my class necessarily. Maybe it's math or something.
Absolutely. So what strategies have you found most effective for engaging students?
Starting with that building relationships, because if you have that, you can really see or figure out what their motivation is. A lot of them don't have self-motivation yet. It's kind of building for them, whether it's their parent, kind of communicating with their parent to make sure they're on it, or again, using sports or different incentives. And also just with science being such hands-on, incorporating as many little labs you can, even if it's not like a full-blown lab for that day, having some little activity that they get to do hands-on or an online simulation where they can physically see, that really gets them engaged and excited. And while they like following the routine for the most part, every now and then having something different happen or having a different teacher pop in real quick to talk about something.
I would imagine your class entails a very high level of engagement, a lot of hands-on activities, and making science fun. And oftentimes they're not even realizing how much they're learning just based on how you go about providing that instruction as well.
They've definitely gotten more engaged. And part of that was I had someone who was observing me last year, and they suggested with my engagement of them answering questions, following my classroom expectations, was a ticket system. So they get tickets for doing what I asked them to do, so whether they're sitting down, raising their hand, and if I call on them, if they get a right answer, or even if it's a hard question, they tried their best or got somewhere near the answer, they get tickets, and at the end of the week, I do a drawing, and at the end of the quarter, I do a bigger drawing, so they get prizes throughout the year.
Wow. So you're receiving feedback from others, and you're actually readily implementing it too. So you are well on your way to becoming a master teacher very early on in your career. So I'm just looking forward to all the great things you will accomplish and the positive impact you'll make here and in the community as well. So Ms. Freakley, what's been the most rewarding part of teaching so far?
I think it's seeing every kid succeed, even if it's not that big, I passed the test, or if it's just I grew 5 points on a test, or for some of them, it's completing all their work for a quarter. So finding those little goals and moments with them, as well as just building those relationships again, because you really get invested in them and they almost feel like your little sisters or your kids in a way.
Right.
And so just knowing that you're there for them and being able to see like the light bulb moment everyone talks about, where all of a sudden something even so small can click. And sometimes it's not even my class. I'll help a kid with English or math or something. And it's just like, oh, that makes more sense now this way. So seeing that passion of
and they feel
education.
comfortable coming to you regardless of whether it's math, science, English.
If I see them doing other work in my class, I'm going to ask what you're doing and see if I can help you in some way. Because it must be important if you're not doing that instead of my work for some reason.
Right. So you teach 8th grade. That means they go on to high school after that. And I know this is your second year, but have any of the students from last year reached back out to you in any way?
At open house, we had 4 or 5 because they have younger siblings here. And the one came sprinting in, and she had cried the last day of school when she was leaving because she was so upset to be leaving because she'd been here since pre-K.
Right.
So she came back and she was like, I went to open house and the teacher was already mean to me. I miss you guys already. She's like, you weren't kidding when you said high school is harder and that they are not taking it easy. So I have heard from some of them, and then I'm hoping to see some of them maybe at some spring sports as well. And I've seen a couple of them out just in public, and they're like, oh, hey, Miss Freakley. And so it's really great to see them when I do.
It's a wow experience for them if they see you in the supermarkets. It's as though we're not human, and we don't go to the supermarket like they do. But when they see you, their eyes typically light up.
And one kid had told me he got into the ACE Academy at Phoebus, and he was super excited, and I was so happy because I had kind of pushed him that way, like, let's go that way. You want to go to college, maybe that's the best route for you. So when I found out, I sent him a message real quick. I'm like, I'm so happy, so proud for you.
And he'll get that opportunity to receive that associate degree actually before he even receives his high school diploma. So I'm sure he will keep in touch with you with that as well. So what advice would you give to first-year teachers who are just starting out?
To ask questions and really lean on that support that you have, whether it is the assigned mentor teacher or just someone else. It could be in your curriculum. It could be someone that's not here, especially being here. We have pre-K through 8. I don't know all elementary teachers, but I have certain elementary teachers that I'm close with, like a PE teacher, someone you can just lean on, go rant to them about something that happened in class. Right. But really taking that time to get to know different people so you can see who's going to be that person you need to go to when you're having a moment. And also trying to look for a positive moment each day, because there's going to be bad days, there's going to be really good days. But almost every day I can find something that was joyful or made me happy to be a teacher. So not looking for that positive note each day.
Wow. That is great advice for someone who's only in their second year of teaching. And like I mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if Ms. Mason or other administrators here reach out to you to serve as a mentor teacher. I think you will make a positive impact, and you're the type of person we want to have in front of new teachers, because that's a great way for them to say, I'm feeling supported, and this is a profession I will choose to stay in as well. And I know you mentioned earlier, Ms. Freakley, and I know because I'm born and raised here as well, that this area used to be a hospital. Now it's Andrews Pre-K through 8 school. Someone like you with a chemistry degree makes you highly sought after. So we're glad you chose, and you explained why you chose Hampton City Schools. But why did you choose Andrews? Because I would imagine every principal in the district would be trying to hire you.
So with that, I was looking more for chemistry because that's what I want to do, high school chemistry. And so when I was interviewing and looking, there was only one opening, and I interviewed. I didn't get it. So then I got an interview with Eaton and here, as well as some Newport News schools and everything. And so I chose Andrews because I literally grew up 3 blocks down the street from here. So this is home. So I wanted that. And I just wanted to work with the kids that are in this area that I knew, like the same type of kids I knew growing up. So I was interested in that, and just knowing that Andrews had people here that I knew because I knew someone that had worked in this building. My dad knew different teachers here. And so knowing that there were connections here and just like almost like an extension of family in a way.
Wow.
So choosing it that way.
Wow. And for that school that shall remain nameless that did not select you, they truly missed out. So as we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to share with the listening audience?
Again, I think taking that time to build those relationships, because if you can't build those relationships, the kids aren't going to care about the content. They don't really want to be in school. They'll tell you all the time. Their attention spans 1 minute at a time some days. So building those relationships really helps you get them engaged, but get them interested in what the subject is. Being able to get them engaged by using real life scenarios, using them in examples, will make them more eager to learn and more eager to be in your classroom.
So building those relationships, it seems like that was the theme of the podcast today, and we know how critically important that is to make that impact in building those relationships, because, it's often been said, no significant learning will take place without a significant relationship. And I would imagine you saw a lot of this model even with your father, who teaches in Hampton as well, like you mentioned, and just coming from a family of educators, you're just a natural at this as well. So we thank you for choosing Hampton City Schools, and and I'm going to say this in advance to make certain we claim this, we thank you for choosing to stay for many, many, many years to come as well.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you for sitting down, of course, with us today, and I thoroughly enjoyed our time together. You have a passion for this work, and it's rather infectious. And like I mentioned, I hope many aspiring educators will listen to this, and hopefully it will spark an interest in not just them choosing to be in the education profession, but also choosing Hampton City Schools. So I wish you much success for the remainder of the school year. I look forward to seeing the great things we know you will accomplish here at Andrews, home of the Gators, one band, one sound. And to our listeners, remember, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. As one community, one transformation, we will ensure academic excellence for every child, every day, whatever it takes. We will catch you next week.
Listen to learn more about Hampton City Schools. New episodes of HCS Talks drop on Thursdays. Subscribe and listen to HCS Talks. HCS Talks is a Hampton City Schools production.